Hey everybody, so I just finished up the old coupe and I did some more work on it. Remember my last video I had a couple things to do, so I got those things done. And I'm trying to do this, the sunlight is a problem. I did a couple things to it actually. I have to get around here where I can see what's going on. So I finally got the tunnel built and put in, and it turned out pretty nice. It goes up good with the toe kicks. A little rough looking right now. I got to take it back out and sandblast it, but it really turned out nice. It fits good. A lot of fabricating and stuff like that. And what I did was I went over to Jay's, and he's got a bunch of junk cars, so I took a tunnel out of a 69 Grand Prix, and then I had to cut it down. I had to cut this section right here. I had to cut out probably about that much, and then I brought this up and overlapped it a little bit, and it's really stout. And then I had to add some down here, you know, to get that to follow the contour of the floor, you know, with that hump up where the old one was, and brought it right on back, you know. And then I made the tunnel, the cover over the yoke, and I got the 4-speed all. I got to get me a boot yet, get me a hearse boot and put on it, but it looks real good. And you know, the toe kicks turned out good. So I tried twice. I ordered a tunnel from S&S, and it came, and it didn't even see. This has a 327 in it, and I got a blow-proof bell housing because the 327's hopped up pretty good. It's got quite a bit of horsepower. In fact, it's got a lot of horsepower. It just depends on where you time it and what kind of fuel you're running in it. But I tried S&S. Theirs didn't work. Then I tried direct sheet metal, which I still have that tunnel. But it didn't work either. So I needed something to, you know, a car that you could put a blow-proof in, and it would fit. And so that's why I decided to go over to Jay's, and I started looking around and measuring. And these Grand Prix tunnels, which are probably the same as a Chevelle or a 4420s or something like that, you know, they work really good. You got to cut them down, you got to fit them, and all that kind of stuff. You can see right there where the old shifter cable went through. I'm going to do something with that a little bit later. And then I had over here, I had to box in the clutch. You can see where the clutch comes up through, so I boxed all that in. And then, like I said, I made this piece right here. I made that so I could take it off in case I had to adjust the shifter or anything like that. And then that tunnel goes right on back, and it fits the contour of the old stock floor, you know, pretty good. So, boy, what a difference. What a total difference. The amount of hot air coming up through there. We just don't have that anymore. We got a little bit from the pedals there. There's some holes there, steering column and where the clutch is and all that, but that's nothing compared to what it was doing. Man, it was, on a hot day, a 90-degree day, you could hardly stand it. Even with the windshield opened up, and you just couldn't stand it. But see, this cut all that off. It just cut every bit of it right off. And it turned out nice. And another thing I'll tell you, I'll give you a little tip. We cut out part of the firewall on that Pontiac. And see, that firewall on that Pontiac is square across there. It's square, and that's what this is. This is square across there. So that really worked out good. And then I used all these screws that I used to secure this with. They're all out of like a 70 to 72 Chevelle or Grand Prix 442. They're screws that they used on the frame to hold in brake lines and gas lines and all different kind of stuff that and then other places where they use them too. And they're really good screws. If you drill the small enough hole, they really grab that sheet metal good, and you can tighten them down and they don't strip out. So, and you can see all along here, you can see that I did that. There's one there, there's one there. They're just all the way back. And boy, are they good screws. And see there, I overlapped the two. And then up here, you can see the same thing. There's one, and then there's one right there on the other side. There's one, and then there's one. And then the floorboard where the factory nut is, we took and overlapped it there. And then like right there, and then I had these particular ones, which I think were fender ground bolts, which are the same size. So we did those. And it just, they're really good. I tried all these different ones you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot or at the hardware or whatever. They strip out because they got the head on them. They got the drill bit right on them. So they just don't work. The holes aren't the same. So we did that, and I had another thing that went on here. I put an amp meter gauge in because right after the other video, when I said everything is working really good, well, the alternator and the voltage regulator's right there. That went out, and the alternator went out. I think the voltage regulator killed both of them, because I had to put a new alternator in right here. And I got that alternator originally at Summit, and guess what? They warranted it. They sent me a new one. They didn't argue. They didn't complain. They sent me a new one. That's a Powercraft, I think it is. And it's a 100 amp alternator, which is plenty for this motor. Because I got electronic ignition, which takes a little bit more, but but they never argued a bit. And actually, you'd think that thing's up in there really tight. You'd think it'd be hard to change. It actually is not. That has the, I can't think of the name of the company. Speedway. I got so many different companies and I built with this car. But Speedway, there's the alternator bracket, and it bolts to the intake, and it bolts one to the water pump. And man, I'm going to tell you what. And the adjuster bracket's right over there, and that hooks up to the head. And it's just really easy to change all that. It's really not bad at all. So they replaced all that. It didn't cost me nothing but a little bit of work. I had to do some work. And then my radiator is working really good. I can drive down the road without the fan on, and it runs 160. The only time I have to turn the fan on is like when I get in town where I'm stopped at stoplights and stuff like that. But that's all a homemade deal. I come up with that. I made it. That's a chrome moly tube, and I welded it all together and made sure it didn't have any leaks. And I went to Napa and bought a bunch of hoses that had those curves in them and cut them up. And you know what? It goes to a single, right to that's a 6-cylinder Chevy, like a 62 6-cylinder water neck, and it comes straight up. And boy, does that work good. This thing is really running good. Flat out. I love driving it. It's just a thrill. And there's the battery. And you can see on this, here's the factory ground right here. So then what I did was I connected the, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I connected the battery to that factory ground. Okay, and then this one, the ground cable hooks up to the block right there. So this thing works good. All the electric now is back, but like the lights and all that stuff, I've had nothing but good. I haven't had any trouble with anything. Nothing. So I'm seeing like the headlights are halogen. I put in Speedway again. They had a kit to where you can put halogen bulbs in them. And I did all that. And I got the turn signals from Speedway. Those are really nice. They work good. So it's just flat out. And I got that fan from Speedway. 2 of them. I bought a spare just to have it. But that fan fits in that grill good. You can see it, and it's all wired up. And it just works so good. And just all the work. And now I just checked the brakes a little bit ago, and the fluid was down a little bit because I've been driving it, and the brakes have, the shoes and the pads have worn a little bit, so they go out farther, so it takes more fluid. So I put a little bit of fluid on each side. Man, it's got really good brakes. I haven't had any troubles with it. The exhaust really works good, no leaks. The rear end is phenomenal. It's a really good car. It was a good build, like I said, and I enjoy driving this thing. So anyways, so I got the floorboards done. I sandblasted them after I got done because that's a 69 Pontiac tunnel, and I had to do quite a bit of welding on it, cut it down, had some rust, thin rust on it. So I took and sandblasted that and the toe boards because they had some rust on them, and the tunnel connector, that was green, so that come off of a 73 Impala quarter panel that was crushed up in the front, and it turned out pretty good. I like the way it looks, and there's no hot air coming up through there now. And that tunnel right there, it fits. First tunnel I bought was from EMS. They said it would work. I told them I had a blow-proof bell housing. Oh, no problem. Well, they make their tunnels for flatheads and small 3-speeds, and they don't. It has nothing to do with running a 327 with a blow-proof. So then I tried direct sheet metal. Theirs was a little bit better, but it wasn't wide enough. You would have had to split it down the middle and do that sort of thing to it. And I didn't want to get into all that. They're too expensive to cut apart and then screw up. So then I went over to Jay's because the guy at EMS that's down in North Carolina, he's originally from Georgia, he takes the returns on the EMS stuff. And I was talking to him one day. He's probably 80 or going, 78, 79, whatever. So he come up in this hot rod era. And he told me, he said, when we needed to do tunnel work, if we put some different type of engine or something in, he said, we'd go to junkyard and we would get a tunnel and cut it down and fit it and put it in. He said that's the way we did it. And he was doing this stuff in the early 60s, if not the 50s. But I know he was doing it in the early 60s. So after 2 attempts to buy, I said, you know what? I don't need this anymore. So then I went over to Jay's. I started doing measuring and stuff like that. And 69 Grand Prix, you can put a blow-proof in those. You can put 4 speeds in them. You can put a turbo 400 automatics, which a 400 automatic won't work in this car unless you cut the X-frame out of it. I don't want to do that because this has got an original chassis that's just untouched. You know, he drag raced this car from 1956 up to about 60, 61. He drag raced it at Milan Dragway. He drag raced it, I believe he drag raced it up in Detroit Dragway. And I know he went to Metcalf Field up there in actually Walbridge, Ohio. And it was an old airfield, and they turned it into a drag strip in 1960, and he raced up there for probably a year or so. And he unbolted stuff on this car, but he didn't cut nothing up. So it's just a premium body. I mean, you can't find bodies like this. Even out in California, they aren't this clean. I've had California cars, and they've had rust issues. So anyways, it looks pretty good. And I'm going to go to the other side, so I'll cut this off. And I cut it back on. And this has the original pedals in it. I made up a clutch system for it off the blow-proof. You can see part of it right there. I made my own lever that goes from the clutch linkage on the pedal down to the clutch to the fork, and I made all that, and it all works really good. So I made that square tunnel there to hide all that up so far. But this thing really fits good. No squeaks, no rattles. I mean, it just flat out it's nice. And if you're gonna do a small block or a big block in one of these, and you don't want to cut the firewalls and all that, go get you a tunnel out of a junkyard, out of a something 69, 67, 68, 70, and then start looking at it and cutting it down. I didn't want to change this car. It's got the original pedals in it. Now my right there, my accelerator, it works good too, because I put my foot on the clutch rod, and it just works really good for me. And it doesn't interfere with the brakes, and the clutch works good. Even the handbrake works good. So, and that's an old Hurst shifter right there before they put Hurst on the towers. And that piece right there, you'd have to tear that shifter apart to get that tower out of there. That's how old it is. So anyways, I just wanted you to see what I've been doing. I've been working on that, and the other thing I did was I found these in boxes, those Ford V8 emblems. So I don't know where they go. I think they're supposed to go on the grill, but I can't get them on the grill because of that fan. I got that fan in there, and so to go over here on this part, anywhere in here, you can't get to it. So this is easy enough. And those are nice original emblems. They're not, and one's an 85 you just looked at. And then this is the original one that came with the car. This is a 60. So I'll have a little controversy over that, but I don't really care, because that's all original stuff, and that's the way I do things. I'm a purist at heart, as much as I can, but with a hot rod, even with the hot rod, you know, you can still be a purist. You know, it's a Chevy powered Ford. You just can't get a better car than that. I'll tell you that right now. And I know that's a controversial statement, but I don't care. That's what I believe. And I've been doing this. Next year will be 55 years I've been building these cars. And I've had old ones like this, and I've had anything up to 1972. Yeah, I've had them in the early 70s, mid 60s, mid 50s. I've even had a 40 model, and then I've got back into 35 to 37. So, and I love these old cars. I don't care what they got in them. I want something that's going to be dependable and run. So guess what? I picked the most dependable, easy to get parts for engine and drivetrain, which The transmission I got with the car, the 63 Corvette T10 4-speed, I got that with the car. And then I bought off of Griff's, I bought that L79 327 that they built. And that turned out really good. Boy, that thing just runs like Hogan's goat. A lot of horsepower. Huh. Tell you what, if I want to turn it up, we could take it over to the strip and do something with it. And probably run pretty good times. This car, the best time this car ever ran was in 1957. This car at Milan Dragway missed going to the National NHRA Nationals by 1/100th of a second. He ran a 12.55 in the quarter mile with this. It had a Hemi in it. It had a 331 Hemi, had a 392 heads on it. He had Hillborn fuel injection, and then he ran all kinds of transmissions and rear ends because nothing would hold up against the Hemi. It's just got way too much torque, you know. But he ran a 12.55, and he got beat by a 12.54. So he got beat by 1/100th of a second. And I'm going to tell you what, in 1957, anything in the 12s, you're flying. So, that was reported to me by his son Paul. And Rob, I can't remember if Rod confirmed it or not, but Paul said that his dad told him about this car as far as what the times were and stuff like that. And it's just amazing that back in 1955, something ran a 12.55, or actually 57, I'm sorry, ran a 12.55. So you know what, that's booking in my, but he didn't cut the car up neither, you know. So, and I've got the same radiator in it that he ran, and I'll come back here in a minute because I want to show you something really special. Okay, so here's what's special. He started drag racing in 1956. I don't know if I can get it or not, but that penny right there, he put that penny in this, and that penny is a 1956. And there's another amazing fact, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. But there's another amazing fact. And that's the radiator that he raced that Hemi with back in 1956 to 1960, 61, somewhere in there. He went into service. That's why he didn't race it anymore. And so for me to use that radiator, I just had to make me a T to where the two went into one. And I made that T out of chrome moly. It doesn't leak. And then I got me a 62 Chevy 6-cylinder straight neck. I went over to Jay's and got it because Jay's got all kinds of this kind of stuff. And hooked it up. And man, it works great. I run 150, 160, 170 depending on how hot it is. But that is just an absolute good setup right there. And that's a brass radiator too. And it's plenty big enough. He ran that Hemi with this. And I don't think he had any heating issues with it. And the aluminum fans weren't in back then. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to try to keep it as close as I can. And he originally planned to put a small block in here. They already set the motor mounts up, the transmission mount. His son, Paul, and another guy here from where I live at here in Ohio, they already had this thing set up and actually had a 400 in here, but then they pulled it and put it in his, in his tea bucket. So, and I would have room for a regular fan if it wasn't for that electronic ignition right there. I could have moved the motor back. I could have moved the mounts back a little bit, but I wanted electronic because it just never gives you any trouble. So, all right, so this is going on almost 13 minutes, so I appreciate you watching. please subscribe. Thank you for sharing it and leaving good comments. And I appreciate everything you do. And thank you.